All right. Well, welcome everyone to our webinar today, Faster Study Setup with Prism and Vdoc. So thank you for taking the time out of your days to join us. We'll go through the logistics in just a moment. But today what we're going to do is talk about Prism, introduce a specific use case, and then I'll give a brief overview about Vdoc for those who don't know. And of course, we will want to leave plenty of time for questions and answers so that we can ensure that all of your questions are being responded to. So I'm Greg Tullo, VDoc. I'm really happy to be joining you today and welcoming Jana Montgomery, the founder and CEO of Prism Health. So Jana, would you like to give a brief introduction?
Sure. It's hard to be brief. I've done a lot of weird things in my life, in my career. But mo most importantly and most relevant to y'all today is that I've spent about the last 12 years, a little more, in human subjects research. And I've sat in pretty much all the seats around the table. So I've been, at an academic site, I've been at a sponsor, I've been a vendor, I've owned a CRO before starting Prism. So I've kind of seen everything, which will give you the context for why I built what I did.
Thank you, Jana. And yeah, my brief, quick bio is yes, I spearheaded clinical data management, biostatistics, and CRO modalities before joining VDoc, and really just super enthusiastic about what Jana and the folks over at Prism are doing. Really interesting stuff. So without further ado, Jana will just go ahead and get started and let you take the stage.
So people often ask me like, why did you do this? Why did you start another company? Because it's a lot of work. Sure, sure. And the reality is, I've done clinical operations for quite a while, and for the better part of a decade, I've been asking, like, why don't we have a better solution that makes my job easier? Right now, the way things work is we've got, disjointed infrastructure. So we're using an average of 17 point solutions for each clinical trial. And we have people sitting there managing all of these point solutions, exporting from one thing, importing to another. And it results in not only delays and mistakes, but it also results in poor data quality and sometimes even risks trial success. I've also seen that traditionally the way we operate clinical trials is quite slow and expensive because of that reliance on human labor. And our business models today don't really incentivize anyone to make a change. So, with these things in mind, plus increased external pressures like reduced headcount, reduced budget, and yet more trials that we're just supposed to be doing, I was thinking, it'd be great if we could find a way to just automate as much as we possibly can and remove some of these blockers for sponsors. So, what Prism does is we automate clinical trial operations. We sell to sponsors, so people that manufacture medical devices or drugs or a wearable device, any sort of therapeutic or anything they need tested. We give them back as much power as they possibly can have. We want human in the loop all the time, but we want them to really be in control and have transparency of their trial. So because of confidentiality, I won't be showing live videos of the platform, but you'll see a head or a screenshot later today.
All right, so we're going to
Okay.
talk about your unique situation and sponsor.
Perfect. Okay. So the case study that we're going to talk about today, this particular sponsor is a small medical device company. They've got, up to a couple hundred employees. I think is closer to 150, but they have multiple products and product lines, and they were planning this label expansion study. The data do need to be submitted to FDA, but the study is quite small, and they wanted to basically partner with somebody who understood what they need and not just throw continued templates at them, but just like really hone in on what do they need so they can optimize their resource and time. And what they needed from me when we started working together was annotated CRFs, an EDC chosen and built and UAT'd, ready for enrollment. They also hired us to do some data management and monitoring services, but they really did want to retain as much transparency and control of the trial as they could. As you can imagine, and if any of you have done anything with clinical trials, we all have challenges. It's just part of our world, right? So it makes it fun. In this particular situation, the sponsor had the sites ready to go. So we had sites contracted, they were ready for SIV and then to enroll. And we had SIV scheduled for 2 weeks away. But the first provider that they were working with was unfortunately unable to deliver their CRFs and database on time. This is really common. It is not to say anything negative about the other provider. Like we're constantly all balancing a million things. And unfortunately, this one had to push the deadlines, which resulted in a months-long delay to this particular trial and risked timelines for their planned FDA submission. They also proposed an EDC solution that unfortunately was not Part 11 compliant. And the one that they chose and the way that they had intended to implement it was going to make things quite difficult to do at different sites. It would be more custom at each site, which is a tough way to collect data and ensure you've got consistency and data quality across the study. So, Greg, if you want to go to the solution. So we decided to reach out to VDoc. I met with the sponsor and I said, hey, I see the troubles you're having here. I have an idea. I've worked with VDoc for a while now. They're fast, they're cost effective, and it's high quality. Let's grab a quote from them and see what you think. So I reached out to VDoc and I said, hey, this is the situation I'm in. Can you please give me a quote real fast? Because I need to move quite quickly here. And while I was waiting for that, which was only a couple of days from really reaching out to contract signed, I then partnered with the sites and the other vendor to understand what had they already done, what needed to be completed. I made sure that I understood the sponsor, what were they trying to do, and then we created a new budget that was actually going to be more cost effective than the previous solution. The other thing that we were able to do is leverage my platform, Prism OS, which, like I mentioned earlier, automates a bunch of things and gives them back more control and transparency. So they were able to not hire a CRO to do this study, and they did not need to hire any more internal staff. They're able to manage this study on top of everything else they're doing because they have access to these tools. How did this end? So I mentioned already it was really quick from like when I got the quote to when we signed the contract. It was very fast. Within a few days, I already had access to the training environment, which I think really highlights the responsiveness of the VDoc team. We then designed and annotated study-specific case report forms. We leveraged that into our EDC build specifications. We then did the entire build and the UAT in less than a week. We also provided the sponsor with all relevant data management procedures, and we provided sites with ECRF completion guidelines, again, leveraging our partnership with VDoc there. VDoc has a lot in the completion guidelines realm to start from, and then we just made some modifications for this particular study. We also provided them with training materials for their SIV, obviously EDC specific, and then we were able to attend remotely those SIVs. And in the meantime, we have been that point of contact for the sites if they ever have any database issues, which I actually don't think we've had any, funny enough. So we were able to do this really quickly. I'm sure you all are keenly aware that typically, because we do things so manually and we're just like updating old templates and we've got 7 people in the process here, things are just kind of slow. But when you sign with the right people and you have folks on your side who understand exactly what you need, exactly how to deliver it, and your urgency, we can do this really quickly. So within less than that 2 week timeline, we had everything ready to go. And because we leveraged these frontier technologies, we not only increase all their speed and increase their transparency and control during the trial, but we reduce their cost significantly because we can automate so much within the EDC and then within Prism, which relies on the EDC for the source of truth data, that we were able to reduce their operations cost by about 20 to 30% over the life of the trial. And like I mentioned, we do this in a few ways. By partnering with a mature EDC with a robust API, my platform can present data and process data in near real time consistently and reliably, and that is incredibly important because that's not true all the time. Because we have advanced edit checks and we can go, across visit, across form, we're able to reduce data management time. So we spend on this study maybe an hour on DM per week. Like it is really, really efficient. And because we've done these things, the database is wicked clean. So I was in there yesterday and we have two outstanding queries that I issued on Monday during a monitoring visit, and that's it. We have no missing data. Like I said, we have hardly any outstanding queries. So when we get to our closeout visits and database lock, we're going to be able to do this incredibly fast because we've maintained such a high quality database along the way. Our takeaways, it was really fun. It was fast, it was a whirlwind, but it was really fun. We understand speed. I think often it is a misconception that people care about cost above all else. Cost is, of course, important and definitely needs to be taken into account, but we really need speed. These businesses are going to, some regulatory hurdle and they've got some timeline, or they're trying to get into market, or their investors have said, hey, we need you to reach this milestone in the next 12 months, whatever the thing is. Speed is incredibly important. And what I've appreciated about, this partnership with VDoc is that we all use the best technology that we have, and both sides really understand the importance of that speed without sacrificing quality. So everything I've seen from this, partnership has, whether VDoc does the build or we do the build, is incredibly high quality, which results in all of those things we mentioned on the last slide, that clean database, reduce time, reduce cost. It's also important to note that people do want some level of customization or some level of like boutique high touch support. That we have so much in common across all sorts of trials and therapeutic areas. So yes, there's a lot that we do that's the same, but each sponsor needs and deserves some sort of customization for their trial and their team, and to feel like they're being heard and really taken care of in this situation. We also learned that, high touch support really does matter. So whenever I've had a question about the VDoc platform or a build, or, oh, this kind of thing is funky and I'm not sure I understand, it's a couple hours until I've got a solution done and implemented. Like it is incredibly quick, and it makes me feel and the sponsors feel like we do have a valued relationship here. We're not just another number, and we're not just you're a tiny client or a tiny customer and we'll get to you when you get to you. But yeah, that we felt really taken care of in this situation.
Thank you, Jana.
You're so welcome. Thank you.
So yeah, just a brief overview of, well, who is VDoc? We've heard from Prism. So VDoc is really a core EDC platform. We are looking at running all phases of studies. We have excellent uptime. We cater to all different kinds of customers. You can see all of our statistics down below. Jana, you pointed out the importance of 21 CFR Part 11 compliance, and we absolutely tick that box, of course. We also have 27001 ISO certification. We have SOC 1, SOC 2 reports, all of that to ensure that we can give you the confidence and security and reliability for all of the different studies that we run across all different phases for all kinds of different customers. We are a global company. We're located truly global presence with core offices headquartered in Uppsala, Sweden. We have a US office in Raleigh, then Shanghai and Japan. We also recently opened up an office in Australia to take care of our customers down that way, and have some support teams based in Hanoi as well. So really, the eClinical suite is something that is supposed to be intuitive, and it's supposed to solve a lot of your problems from just the way it's built. And I think, Jana, you made those points clear. You talked a lot about the real-time edit checks, missing data queries, things that can help you get to cleaner data faster at the point of data entry, so that there's a lot less work that you do have to do cleaning the data and following up with sites. We've managed to automate many of those processes with intuitive workflows. But we have the core there. So EDC, ePro, eCOA, some document management, easy export tools, a really robust reporting system, onboard randomization, medical coding, and of course, source data verification features. If you're doing, SDV at 100%, targeted SDV, we have you covered there. But then really where Jana, correct me if I'm wrong, but the power that you were able to leverage came from the API because we do believe that one EDC system can't necessarily handle all of the data nowadays. There are so many different data points coming in, and in your case, data going back out to be leveraged by some really unique tools using AI modalities and backbones and other simple reporting tools and data lakes. And that's really the importance of having a robust and reliable API layer. So you can connect in bidirectionally with all of the different tools that you might be needing for your given study. So really, can one software vendor check all the boxes in the current eClinical landscape? And our position is not really. So while we have VDoc as the core system, you have your data in coming from multiple different places, and then data can go back out, really in order to help you leverage the best tools for the job. And that goes back to the point you made, Jana, about making sure the sponsors have the flexibility that they need. So while we can say yes with a hugely standardized database modality, and you're always going to be using CDIS standards and those set kind of forms and workflows, that doesn't always meet the unique needs of a given study. And VDoc makes it available where you can be as standardized as you like or as custom as you like. So it's a brief introduction to VDoc and who we are. But now we really want to have more of an open discussion and get some questions from the audience. And as we wait for some of those questions to come in, I have a few things that popped into my mind for you, Jana. One of them was, you did mention the queries that you set up, the real-time
Yep.
edit checks. In your experience, how did VDoc help you achieve your goals when thinking about cross-form, cross-visit edit checks and that real-time feedback to the sites that helped you get cleaner data faster, that made that data more useful when it was being piped into your system?
Yeah. So, because I've used VDoc for quite a few studies, I was aware of, and because I've done the builder training, which VDoc does offer to us when we sign a contract and say, hey, we would like to use this platform, I was aware of the capabilities at the outset, which I think benefited me. But I knew that because I have a good understanding of clinical data, because like you, I have more data background. I'm able to predetermine and really think about what edit checks make sense. So not just range checks, because I think that's what people consider is they're like, oh, there's I just want to check if this lab value makes sense. And I'm like, sure, I guess. But what about like someone reported in a medical condition form that, this participant happened to have type 2 diabetes, pick something, and it's actually an exclusion criterion. I can do that automatically. I don't have to have a person going in and be like, wait a minute, was that an exclusion? I know it's an exclusion, and I can do that at the outset, which is just really helpful and really powerful. So I was just showing our data integrity plan to someone else, and it's so light because we used so much of the automated edit checks. Our data managers really don't do that much during the week. It's like pretty simple manual checks.
Excellent. So a couple questions directly from the audience. Here's a great one. What does Prism actually do? What problems does Prism solve?
Yeah, this is a great question. Um, yeah, so we started our build by basically thinking about what are the problems that sponsors find painful today or expensive. So we have modules that the first thing we did was actually invoice generation. We had some clients who they were generating the invoices, not the site. And they were like, we need to send an invoice to the site, but we're manually going through the EDC and looking form by form for dates and how complete things are. So we automated that. And now both site and sponsor can use the same source of truth. And so it also saves site time in that scenario. We have a document generator and management features, so you can revision, upload, generate with AI, a very specifically trained AI for this, study specific documents, and you can do it in record time. I actually almost cried when I did it the first time because the last time I just used like templates. It took me so freaking long, and then this thing did it in 20 minutes, and I was like, how? It could have been so much better my whole life. So
That's
that was great.
outstanding.
Yeah, it was really fun. We have a monitoring module. So if anyone has done anything with monitoring, we use 1,000 different systems and trackers. that everyone forgets about. So we have a monitoring module that where you can schedule visits, you can track them, all of your checklists are in there, action items are moved across visits if they're outstanding, and then you can automatically link your documents like your letters and reports. We have analytics dashboard that is specific to study primary and secondary endpoints, but what we're releasing this month is actually natural language queries, and you can visualize data on your own. We've already found that by just giving them these endpoint dashboards, we have less interaction with the sponsor, but this natural language thing will even be better because then I'm not asked like, oh, what about this thing? You're right. Let me give you this graph. And and we have site performance. So we track site progress and performance across 8 different KPIs. We create a composite score and we give you actionable insights to say, you should check in on this site for this reason. And it's just easy to get lost in the mess, right? When you've got dozens of sites and you're like, oh, I think that one was good. I forgot. So we have got abnormality detection and then we, yeah, give you insights. There's other stuff too, but those are like the main things that I get really excited about and I use all the time.
Fantastic. Yeah, and your email address is at the bottom of the current slide. So I'm sure if anyone had
Oh,
further
yeah.
questions, wanted to see a live demo, just reach out to you. And same with me. If you would like to know more about VDoc, please don't hesitate to reach out and we can show you the systems. But let's see, another question here. What is special about the VDoc API that other systems don't have, or where do other systems APIs struggle?
Yeah, that's a great question. Greg, I'm curious how much you've seen of other people. I've seen a lot of other systems. My experience, so literally this morning, I woke up to, so our system, because we work with multiple EDCs, VDoc's my favorite, but we work with multiple because sponsors come to us with like, this is what we're using. Okay. But we have a Slack channel that automatically, if our system goes to do an EDC refresh and it fails because the API has failed, I get a message and then it will retry. And I get one every single day from another vendor. So I would say it's very robust. I would also say when you look at other APIs, you'll see a lot of endpoints, which seems at the outset like maybe that's a good thing. And it maybe could be, but what I have found in like actually using trial data is that being able to access the entire data set with one pull is better for analyses and better for cleaning and review because in the other example when I'm doing okay, say I've got an endpoint for like a specific PRO at a specific time point, I have to then go map that to data from another endpoint, which just takes more time when everything is hashed on the back end. So like number one, it's really robust. Number two, the simplicity actually makes it much easier for me to do my job. I don't know what else you have to add there, Greg, but that's my perspective.
Yeah, no, I think it is simple and it's reliable. That's the key point is that the API simply works when you expect it to. So our API endpoints, you can import data, export data, either the full data set or subsets. It's all very much permissions based. So depending on how you set up the API, different users based on their role can access different data. You can use it to batch create sites or batch invite users. That's very helpful if you're running these like 500 site studies
Yes,
where it's a massive amount of work. You can point
that's
the
true.
API at an Excel file or something and have it ingest all that data. The other thing that VDoc has done is we do have a VDoc GitHub page where we have some examples using the API. So while, of course, there's excellent technical documentation, if you would like to see some real world use cases, you can check out our GitHub and use some of those. And that's really helpful for those who might be a little bit, API curious, but haven't really dipped our toes in. You can reverse engineer some of the coding there to make it work in your unique use case.
Awesome. Yeah, you're
So
right about, I
that's,
forgot about the right part, the right access, because that's something we're going
yeah,
to be doing together in the
sure.
future. Yes, I forgot.
Excellent. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, it's,
Yeah, there's a question about templates and using
yes.
templates always. We always templatize as much as we can within a build. But what Greg and I have actually been talking about is actually automating the build design file itself from the build specifications. So saving us even more time on the build process because we've got
Yes.
these AI enabled workflows where, like right now, we have this feature that you upload a bunch of CRFs and it generates the build specifications for you, including logic and basic edit checks as your first draft. So it saves a ton of time. And then because we have the build specifications, we can actually go from that to the design XML file and save even more time. So instead of just dragging and dropping this.
Fantastic. Yeah. And I think that's certainly a future direction and one of those great AI use cases. How can we go from a database spec or a protocol straight to
Mhm.
a design XML file? It's wonderful.
Yeah, yeah, and we're
Excellent.
generating the documents at, as we go so that you can actually put things in your TMF and say we did do this thing and here's how it was designed. It's
Fantastic.
like this. Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, Jana, thank you for, joining us today and sharing your experience. And thank you to everyone who attended our webinar today. As a reminder, this was recorded and our email addresses are at the bottom of the current slide. So please do not hesitate to reach out to either one of us with additional questions or requests for unique specific demos on how we can help you achieve your goals. So thank you very
Cheers.
much,
Thanks, y'all.
and we wish you all a great day. Take care.